Welcome to chapter 5 of the book of Genesis. The book begins with the genealogy of Adam. I'll read some in the Greek and then we'll go through the book. Avti vivlos genesios anthropon imera epison o theos ton Adam. Kat ikona theou epison avton. Arsen ke theli epison avtus. Ke evlogison avtus. Ke eponomase to onom avtu Adam. Imera epison avtus. This is the book of the origin of men, in which day God made Adam. Genesis 2:4 says this is the book of the origin of the heaven and the earth. So, as I mentioned back in chapter 2, we have two different accounts. One is a broad general account of the heaven and the earth, and then this one here is the book of the origin of men, as Moses is writing it all down for us to see. And man was shaped in chapter 2, verse 7, and then man was called Adam in 2:16, and he was called, this is what it says in the text, not that he was named, but this comes here in this chapter here. Then God made woman in, that would be in 2:18, and then he calls the wife, Adam calls his wife Eve in chapter 3, verse 20. So now we have the origin of men, in which day God made Adam. Now, like I said, it mentions Adam earlier, so the time frame here is kind of convoluted. But it goes on, it says, according to the image of God, he made him. Ikona as an image, and we see that word today as a derivative of an icon. An icon basically in history was a image that was made either one or two dimensional against a wall or on a painting, and Greek Orthodox have what they call iconology. And there was a big fight over iconology about 1,000 years ago over whether they should use them or not, and the ones that wanted to use them won out, so we have icons throughout the Greek Orthodox Church. Today, we see icons on computers, little pictures that mean something, and you hit the icon, and it will change into something else. Now, in Revelations 13:15, it says, and was given to him a breath to give to the image of the wild beast, that also the image of the wild beast should speak. Now, the image is the icon, and so it was given to this man of sin, and that it should speak. The icon should speak. Now, I look at that and I go, wow, that sure could be virtual reality, something like that. Now in Revelation 16:2, it talks about an imprint of the wild beast, and that's a haragma 5480 in the AB strong numbering system, and that is not the same. The imprint is a different thing than the image. Then it continues in verse 2, male and female, he made them. No transgenders, male and female. And in the Greek, and I believe in the Hebrew, we have in all the words, the nouns, we have gender, masculine, feminine, neuter. So you can't possibly change one to the other grammatically in the Greek, which this Bible is written, because it doesn't go along with the gender that it's built on in grammar. So arson is I'm sure it's masculine, and theli would be a feminine nouns. And he made as a verb them and blessed them, and he named his name Adam. So now we see that God says that he named him Adam, in which day he made them, which is back way earlier than what's here in chapter 5. Back in 2:16, he calls Adam Adam, but even before Eve was made. And so in verse 3, and Adam lived 30 and 200 years, and he procreated according to his shape. I put a son in there so you would know. Now it could be, I suppose, a woman, but procreating. I saw in the New Testament as I went through in the genealogies that in the New Testament I used engender. I did a lot of this 25 years ago, and I haven't been able to go through it and change it to make these words agree from the old and the new. Hopefully I'll be able to do that before I'm transformed and to another place. And he continues, and he engendered a son according to his shape and according to his image. So now Adam was in the image of God, whatever the image of God is, but yet, and then the children were in the image of their father, Adam. And he named his name Seth. So we have Seth is the third child mention of Adam and Eve. We had Cain and Abel, and now Seth. Cain killed Abel, and so now Seth. Now we have a couple of genealogies. Let's go up to a graph I put together. So here in Genesis 4, a couple of chapters, or last chapter, we see the genealogy of Cain. Now a lot of people get these mixed up, and I see them because the names are similar in places. Let's go down here. And so Cain, not Seth, and then he had a son, was Enoch, and then Arad, Mahujal, Methuselah, and Lamech, Jubal, which were brothers by Ada, the first wife of Lamech, and Tubal by his second wife, Zillah, and there's the places where it appears. Now, we can see certain names appear more Enoch, Methuselah, and Lamech. Enoch is at the very beginning, and Methuselah and Lamech. Now, Cain would be an uncle. Cain would be a brother to Seth. So some of these people were in the genealogy of Seth could have been named after uncles or cousins and the same name. So now here's the genealogy of Cain, but now the genealogy of Seth, and this is important because this is a genealogy of Jesus. Jesus didn't come down through Cain. And it begins, we have Seth, Enos, Cainan, Mahalalel, Jared, Enoch, Methuselah, Lamech, and Noah. He named his name Seth, and came to pass the days of Adam, which he lived after his procreating Seth 700 years, and he procreated sons and daughters. Now, I'm not sure who is Seth he's talking about, or Adam, but it came to pass all the days of Adam, which he lived 30 and 900 years, and he died. And Seth lived 502 years, and he procreated Enos. And Seth lived after his procreating Enos 7 years and 700. And he procreated sons and daughters, or engendered. And it came to pass all the days of Seth 12 and 900 years, and he died. And Enos lived 190 years, and he procreated Cainan. And Enos lived after his procreating Cainan 15 years and 700, and he procreated sons and daughters. And came to pass all the days of Enos 5 years and 900, and he died. And Cainan lived 70 and 100 years, and he procreated Malaleel. And Cainan lived, after his procreating Malaleel, 40 and 700 years, and he procreated sons and daughters. And came to pass all the days of Cainan 10 years and 900, and he died. And Mahalaleel lived 5 and 60 and 100 years, and he procreated Iared. And Malaleel lived after his procreating Iared 30 and 700 years, and he procreated sons and daughters. And came to pass all the days of Malaleel 5 and 90 and 800 years, and he died. And Iared lived 2 and 60 years and 100, and he procreated Enoch. And Iared lived after his procreating Enoch 800 years, and he procreated sons and daughters. And came to pass all the days of Iared 2 and 60 and 900 years, and he died. And Enoch lived 5 and 60 and 100 years, and he procreated Methuselah. And Enoch was well-pleasing to God. Now, where else does it mention this? In Hebrews 11:5, it says, by belief, Enoch was transposed or transferred to not know death. Sort of the first rapture, if you would, and was not found, for God transposed him. For before his transposition, he bore witness to have been well-pleasing, right down here, to God. Probably the same Greek word. But also in Jude 14, an interesting verse, it says, now, also Enoch, the seventh from Adam, which he was, prophesied, saying, now this is not in the Old Testament, but in the New. But it's interesting because this is actually a quotation, should be in the Old Testament, that's not, that's in the New Testament. It's the only place that I can think of that that's the case. It says, Enoch says, behold, the Lord came with his holy myriads, executing judgment against all, and to reprove all the impious ones of them concerning all of the works of their impiety, which they were impious, and concerning all of the hard things which impious sinners spoke against him. So Enoch saw things that were turning bad, and it isn't long after that it got really bad where Noah was born. But Methuselah, in the King James, it has it spelled Methusala. So if you look at this in the King James, you'll have to look with the M-E. And so Enoch lived after his procreating Methuselah 200 years, and he procreated sons and daughters. And came to pass all the days of Enoch 5 and 60 and 300 years. And Enoch was well-pleasing to God, and he was not found, for God transposed him. And Methuselah lived 7 and 80 and 100 years, and he procreated Lamech. And this is not the same Lamech that earlier killed the man and was going to suffer 7 times worse than Cain. And Methuselah, and a different Methuselah than that genealogy in Cain, lived after his procreating Lamech 280 and 700 years, and he procreated sons and daughters. And came to pass all the days of Methuselah, which he lived 9 and 60 and 900 years, and he died. And Lamech lived 8 and 80 and 100 years, and he procreated a son, and he named his name Noah, saying, this one will rest us from our works, and from the distresses of our hands, and from the earth of which the Lord God cursed. And Lamech lived after his procreating engendering Noah 565 years, and he procreated sons and daughters, and came to pass all the days of Lamech 753 years, and he died. And Noah was 500 years old when he procreated 3 sons, Shem, Ham, and Japheth. Now let's go back up to our genealogy, and we'll see here now. So it ends up with Noah here in the Seth. Now it doesn't with Cain, so different genealogy. But this genealogy that we had just went through agrees with the other 2 genealogies that mention these same names. That is the genealogy in 1 Chronicles 1 and the genealogy of Luke 3 with Jesus. Now, genealogy of 1 Chronicles agrees, but it goes beyond with other people that after Shem, Ham, and Japheth, and follows those 3 lines. And it's but the same genealogy of Seth until in these names here, from Seth down to Noah. They agree. The genealogy in Luke 3 from verses 36 and 37, it's a genealogy of Jesus to Adam. But from Seth to Noah, it's the same as in Genesis 5. Same genealogy, but then it follows, after Noah, it follows Shem down to Joseph. And the genealogy, so it continues to Joseph, basically, the father, married to Mary, husband of Mary. But the genealogy in Matthew 1 goes from Abraham, which was later, it went much later after Noah, not much later, but after Noah, Abraham down to Joseph, the husband of Mary, father of Jesus. But in Matthew 1, there is no Adam to Abraham genealogy. I hope that helps explain it all. It's interesting, I think. And now we'll next go into the story of Noah in chapter 6 and find out all about Noah and what he had to go through. Hope you'll join us next video seminar. I'm sure you will. God bless.